Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to take a moment here to acknowledge the passing of our dog Ming. He was a little Shih Tzu, and people talk about the RCA dog. You know, he was iconic, and for me, Ming was my little Zoom dog. And every time I would, record music here or make videos or whatever, I'd go home. He would be there to listen to the tracks with me. I'd have the Zoom on the floor, and he was just always there. And it's, taking a while to get used to him not being there, and we keep seeing him. It's like a phantom. But he passed away last Friday, and I just wanted to make a video for a minute, just talking about him and acknowledge his presence and his life. He was a really cool dog. The reason we originally got him, I'd had two Shih Tzus before. I had a Shih Tzu back in the 80s, right after right during the time period that Gremlins came out. His name was Moses. And they talked about Shih Tzus a lot when Gremlins came out, because apparently they used them as the model for the Mogwai. So anyway, we actually got that dog in like '82, and I think Gremlins came out in like '85. So we'd already had him for a while, but we loved that dog. And then later I had a dog named Sweet Iris. So when we decided to get one, since I'd had a couple before, we decided to go with a little Shih Tzu. And he had a heart murmur, we found out pretty quickly. So I was just happy, that I was able to give him, close to 11 years. I used to make his own food, and, we walked him a lot, tried to exercise him. But we got the dog because we have 4 kids, and our first child was born with a series of congenital defects, this condition called bacterial association. And in his case, it was esophageal atresia, which was fixed, when he was really young, but they told us he was going to have some potential back surgery due to some fusion issues and a tethered cord where his spine did not disconnect properly the way it's supposed to. So we knew we were going to probably have to deal with that, and about the time he was 12, 13, it happened, and we had to, take him to the hospital and everything. And after he went through these terrible surgeries, they were pretty rough. And to have the back, fixed, and have the hardware put in, and have the tethered cord removed, because they got to be careful doing that one, because the nerve endings actually have to put sensors on the nerves to make sure you don't cut, become paralyzed and all that kind of stuff. So coming out of that, he wanted a dog, and I wanted to get him one. So that's how Ming came into our lives. And after we'd been around him for a couple of days, he was pretty grumpy and didn't really suffer fools. So we started calling him Ming the Merciless, after the Flash Gordon movie. And I had a history with that film. I saw that movie right when it premiered in 1980. Went to see it 2 weekends in a row. And this was during the whole Star Wars, space movie trend. And that movie did not take off. It became a cult film. But I thought it was incredible. I liked it more than Star Wars. I was heavily into it. The Queen music, I think the Queen music is what really got me going on it. It was as soon as I heard the Flash theme on the radio leading up to it. And then we had the soundtrack at my friend's house, and he had an analog hi-fi. We were playing the record. It was just, and also it was in a Playboy magazine, the Flash Gordon. His dad had that, so we were able to look at the pictures of the Flash Gordon pictorial. It was pretty amazing. So the whole thing made a big impact on me. So I thought it was cool that we named him Ming the Merciless, and we decided if we get another small dog, we're going to have to name him Flash, to just sort of complete that whole thing. But he had, like I said, the heart murmur, and I think it was basically like a congestive heart failure type situation, because he was really had gotten really all of a sudden overnight just really bloated, and he was breathing very labored, to the point where you couldn't even be in the room with him. It was so hard to listen to. It sounded like he was dying. So finally we took him to Auburn, which is not far from here. It's about 35, 40 miles. That's in Alabama. We're in Georgia, right kind of on the border of Alabama and Georgia. And I cannot recommend that place enough. It was a wonderful facility. It's like an academic type setting, because it's the actual University of Auburn, which is this amazing school. So you have that whole aspect, as opposed to going to a vet clinic. It was like going to my kids' college, is what it felt like, because they go to a similar school around here. And the care, the level of care, the doctors, the people that were working there, the two people, the doctor and the assistant. The other person could have been a doctor too, but they were just incredible people, and the people at the front desk, and just the way they received the call when I called them. They like, because it was like getting close to midnight when I got there, so it was pretty intense, and they just did a wonderful job, transitioning him. They put a PICC line in, which I thought was really humane. And then they gave him a sedative leading up to it, and then the final shot that stops the heart. And in his case, he was just really at the end of his line, at the end of it. So I was just incredibly grateful. And as soon as we left the building, I got in the car, and just the radio pops on, and Susie Sue is singing "Into the Light," and we just said, "Ming, go." And then when we got home, my wife happened to see that on December 5th, which is the same day that Ming died, 1980, the movie Flash Gordon premiered. And when I went to go listen to my tracks later that night, the 5th track on my Zoom, and I've never had any mechanical issues, is no longer working. At least the fader doesn't work. So that was a significant moment of synchronicity, coincidence that gave that number some meaning to us. But I just want to salute Ming and acknowledge his passing and his presence and his life. He was my Zoom dog, and I know a lot of people out there have dogs that are meaningful to them as well and are part of their creative process. So salute to the dogs out there, and luckily we have a new one that showed up into our lives, but no one can replace Ming the Merciless, our evil emperor.